all of these changes that we did here, di ba, yung pag-move natin for the international flights sa T2, na-move natin sila sa T1, which is the Philippine Airlines International Network, and some of the carriers in T1 that we moved to T3 as part of our balancing effort. What this yielded was a more optimized NAIA. Diba? In terms of our immigration issues, diba? After the STAR program, nawala na yung mga nakikita natin very long queuing natin sa T3 at T1. That's because we optimized the resources. Diba? Like, example natin for international operations would be the CIQ or the Customs Immigration and Quarantine. Instead of them being deployed very thinly across 3 terminals, ngayon they're focusing their manpower and equipment sa terminals 1 and 3 na lang. So therefore, by doing that, na-ensure natin that during peak hours, fully manned and fully equipped ang ating mga CIQ areas. So in terms of improving customer experience, yun nga, for a lot of passengers of Philippine Airlines, they become earlier compared to domestic passengers. So with Terminal 1, they have more amenities, there's a bigger shopping area, there are more restaurants. So for Terminal 3 naman, the benefits of these airlines that we move from T1 to T3, these are airlines with fewer frequencies than T3 kasi it's a very big terminal. Even if you don't go, pag sarado pa yung check-in counter mo, di ba dito sa Terminal 1, when check-in counter is still closed, they just wait dyan sa lobby. Wala silang mapuntahan. Unlike in Terminal 3, for these airlines that operate only a few flights per day, kapag maaga dumating yung passengers nila at sarado pa yung counter nila sa T3, they can just go up to the 4th level. We have the food hall, we have the shopping complex. That is before the pre-departure area. So these things were planned properly so that it can suit the requirements of our passengers. So in terms of increasing the capacity, by turning Terminal 2 into an all-domestic terminal, what happens is the rated capacity increases. Kasi dati, it's only rated, let's say, at 7 million passengers per year. It's because some of the areas have been retrofitted to accommodate immigration, accommodate customs. Now that all of those have been removed, natira na lang will be our screening areas and the passenger movement areas. We were able to increase the capacity from 7 million to 10 million passengers per year. So overnight, without having to build something, it's just more of enhancing our processes and our facility layout. We were able to increase the capacity of NAIA as a whole. And of course, Terminal 4, I think that's this is the most beneficial to the domestic passengers. Diba? Usually, Terminal 4, dyan na tayo nakabantay during the peak season. About Terminal 4 being very crowded, diba? Everyone just standing, or kapag kami na-delay ka lang na isang flight, passengers will tend to already sit on the floor, then nauubusan na tayo ng mga upuan. What happened for our domestic passengers is really by moving them to Terminal 2, let's say AirAsia, talagang napaka-convenient na for AirAsia passengers. And they are the number 3 domestic carrier here in the Philippines. So by moving them to Terminal 2 Southway, napakaganda na po ng experience. And you can ask some of the passengers, talagang for AirAsia, it's really a game changer that we move them from Terminal 4 to Terminal 2. Okay, so next slide. So what are the other things that at the same time, we have to also look into our facilities, diba? Our resources, because na-mention to we're an airport that's designed for 32 to 35 million. We're doing more operationally ready for the demand that we are looking at. So in terms of the baggage handling system, this is one of the biggest improvements that we are doing as well in Terminal 3. The baggage handling system over the years has degraded a bit because of its condition. But what with engineering done this year is by getting the right partner to improve, rehabilitate, and operate the baggage handling system. In a matter of few months, we've increased the reliability from 62 to 77%. And upon completion of the rehabilitation within the next 6 months, we will be increasing it to about 90% reliability. So we're slowly, of course, reinvigorating the BHS system of T3 in preparation to handle more flights. Because for T3, we envision to really add more flights in the future. So the STAR program we have concluded for this phase this year, but in the future, definitely we will be studying more possible realignment of flights so that we can optimize the use of our terminal facilities. For passenger boarding bridges, again at Terminal 3, used to be a very big issue for us that there are several days that are inoperative. These PBBs, or the passenger boarding bridges, have degraded during the time of COVID, di ba? Nagka-problem tayo with maintenance. But ever since we took over last year with the DOTR secretary, talagang tinas tayo ni Secretary Bautista na to look for a solution to increase the reliability and operational readiness of the sporting bridges. In fact, as of today, last year, as high as 8 out of the 20 bays were not being used in Terminal 3, but right now, we're only down to 2 bays that are inoperative, and we have 18 that are already operational right now and capable of handling flights at P3. Again, dito sa last part to the right, you can see that immigration counters, one of our choke points in terms of viewing. What have we done so far? Of course, na-mention ko kanina was the people aspect, the personnel. Diba? Na-deploy na natin ang mabuti. And on the side of MIAA, of course, we've committed to the Bureau of Immigration that we will give them enough posts. Diba? We started the year with just around 29 counters, departure counters for immigration in Terminal 3. But as of today, we already have 44 counters. So we've really increased the number of counters. And nakapatan naman yun ng personal deployment ng Bureau of Immigration. Kaya ngayon makikita ninyo, we'll walk through later, that immigration dun sa T3 is hindi na siya lumalagpas sa moderate level. Talagang hindi na siya nag-overflow. And tuloy-tuloy na yung pag-process ng mga immigration officers as they have adapted already to the staffing pattern post-STAR program implementation mid this year. Okay, next slide. So, I know everyone has experienced this. This is a normal occurrence, but this is something that we really have to monitor properly so that we can protect the welfare of our here in Manila. But what we have to do is, of course, mitigate the potential impact to operations. So what we have done so far is a very proactive monitoring as well as reliance on high technology tools such as this one that we're showing. We have a spheric map that we subscribe to that detects lightning strikes around the region. Diba? So dito makikita natin we're monitoring. We've already been able to reduce the radius for red alert from previously 9 kilometers down to 5 kilometers. And because of the active monitoring, let's say for that period in June 29 to July 29, based on if we just relied on our old process na hindi natin in-enhance, we would have stopped operation for a total of around 14 hours and 49 minutes for the whole month from June to July. But because we are doing the beta test and proper monitoring and proactive management in informing the airlines real time, we were able to reduce the actual red alert or yung itong ground stop natin from 14 hours down to just 4 hours and 12 minutes. So we're looking at a saving of 70% or 10 hours and 37 minutes. That's very, very big kahit spread mo yan throughout the month. Kasi tandaan nyo, ano ba itong impact ng red alert, di ba? Given that our airport is severely under capacity na talagang lahat ng we're already over using the number of flights are over what our capacity right now. It means that kapag kami scheduled flight to leave at this hour, may papalit sa kanya agad. So it's very important that we plan this properly para ma-minimize natin kasi wala tayong available slack sa airport natin. Everything has to be like clockwork, meaning may papasok, may lalabas. So during times na mamamanage naman natin yung disruption, that's why when we really have good on-time performance, like what we're having right now, about 80%, you won't see not that much queuing, wala kang makikita complaints about nauubusan na upuan. But syempre kapag nag-degrade yung on-time performance natin where the flights that are supposed to leave are not yet leaving and then parating na yung next flight, and ibig sabihin yung mga pasahero for the next flights are also coming because they will come according to the published schedule, doon na nagkakaroon ng patong-patong in terms of having the people in our terminals na nag-accumulate. So critical here is that we work with the stakeholders, we work with the airlines, we work with the stakeholders, of course within MIA, outside of MIA, and other government offices to make sure that on-time yung flights natin and of course minimize natin yung impact of any delays or cancellations para convenient naman yung pagbabiyahe ng ating mga pasahero. Okay. We have another slide. To assist the passengers, of course you'll have security, you'll have the CAV, you'll have people from the amenities. So these amenities that are provided by MIA are just over and above what the passengers can expect from the airlines in terms of the amenities that they are entitled to during disruption. we're on to the last slide. Last slide, of course, even though naayos natin yung experience nila within, of course, the airport, di ba, as they depart or arrive, very important. Napakabilis nga ng kanilang pag-detain, napakabilis. We have our taxis, we have our car rentals, we have, of course, ride-hailing apps, we have Grab, we have even the motorcycle taxi available, we have P2P buses and the other routes that are being enhanced to be able to support the demand here in NAIA. But of course, malaki yung impact rin ng traffic sa Metro Manila in terms of the transport options. These cars, minsan hindi sila makabalik on time sa terminals kapag they're stuck somewhere in the city. That's why we're talking to different providers on how they can augment the number of vehicles that they will be deploying, especially during the peak days. Para we can prepare for this surge of passengers. So, over the next 10 days, what do we expect? We're expecting around an average of 120,000 to 130,000 passengers using the EA each day, or totaling around 1.2 million passengers for the 10-day period starting tomorrow. In terms of the surge or the volume, directional yan. Most of the passengers will be heading out for the first 3 days. We've looked at the forward booking of the airlines. Very heavy ang outbound natin, meaning departing passengers will outnumber the arriving passengers, specifically from tomorrow until Monday. Mga ganun yan. So from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, outbound palabas. Very heavy ngayon na nakikita natin, more of domestic. Again, because siguro of elections, some of the people will also be going to their provinces where they can vote. And same as with UNDAS, of course, they'll go kung saan nila visit yung family nila as well as the ones that are in their cemeteries. Diba? Pero, of course, when you have a surge going out of Manila, meron din yung surge going into Manila, which will happen around November 4, 5, and 6. So, yun yung nakikita natin pattern dito, and that's what we're preparing for. And, we can assure our riding public that the MIA, DOTR is working with the private stakeholders and the government entities to UNDAS 2023 would be passenger safety, convenience, and of course efficient operation of the airport is of paramount priority to this administration. Again, thank you very much for joining this morning's briefing, but we will still have a walkthrough. And right now, Ms. Tony, what's our next in our program?
Yes, sir. We will entertain some questions for any clarification or additional information that you might need for your stories. We are also joined, sir, today by other reporters via Zoom. Please raise your hand if you have questions to ask. We will entertain one question and one follow-up. As you take the mic, please introduce yourself and the entity that you represent. Thank you. Can we have the first question?
Morning, Kian. Name Raul Esperas Lando. You seems to be well organized this time. And my question is on security. At this time, are we knowledgeable of any threat or any security concern regarding the 10-day period that you will be monitoring this vital establishment, sir?
Bro, for that, so that we can get specific answers, we have here our AGN for Security and Emergency Services, Brigadier General Gonzalez.
Thank you, Sir Brian, and thank you for that question. By the way, for the past days, we in the security service of the MIA continuously coordinating with the different agencies, intelligence, community, and PNP, APSICO, OTS, plus other security sectors inquiring about kung may mga threat, projected threat, or individual contemplating yung gusto gumawa ng mga illegal activities also in MIA. Wala naman po. In fact, normal security condition that we have. There were no unforeseen na mga threat on the part sa MIA po. Ito po yung resulta ng assessment and evaluation ng mga security agencies natin when it comes to threat level. So normally po ang security condition along the MIA. Thank you, General.
Follow up naman po, there's a lot from INC News. Paano naman po kung may biglang threat sa mismong mga araw ng pag-sakay ng mga pasahero? Meron po ba kayo nakahandang plano para ito?
Yes, ma'am. We have established a protocol in any kind of threat or security situation that may arise. No? Established na po yan. In fact, as of last week, we have already cascading the security protocol that we will institute just in case mayroong instant or urgent emergency that will crop up during this particular locality. In fact, we have just finished last month yung simulated exercise on the bomb threat and escalation, no? Shooting incident. That includes yung emergency procedure that we have conducted by the rescue and fire services ng MIA. So, established na po. We are ready.
Next question. Joseph.
Hello sir, kay GM Tony Hildo sir from BSKE sir. Ngayong bare month na sir, hindi natin maiwasan na may mga masasamang panahon talaga, may mga cancelled flight, may mga delayed flight. Ano pong preparation ng INAASAHANG at yung mga airlines company para ma-assist ng tama yung mga pasahero natin ng cancelled flight at delayed flight?
Together with the airline companies, of course, tama po kayo pagdating sa mga canceled or delayed flights, napakalaki ng participation ng airlines because the resources for them to be able to recover itong mga pasahero are coming from them. So, based on our talks with the major airlines, specifically yung mga pinakamalaking impact niyan, yung mga home-based carriers, katulad po ng PAL, Cebu Pacific, Air Asia, for the peak season, they are actually investing on having more spare aircraft. It means kapag may na-disrupt, may na-cancel na flight, whether it's due to weather or operational reasons, meron silang aircraft that can quickly replace and transport those passengers. Instead of before, di ba, ang nangyayari, they redistribute these passengers over a few number of days. Ngayon, they've assured us that a percentage of their fleet will be dedicated for spare, meaning walang naka-schedule na flight sa ibang mga aeroplano nila, but just to act as a backup para kapag meron pong nagkaroon na ganyan aberya, like bad weather, as soon as nag-clear yung weather sa other stations, instead of dinedelay yung isang aircraft na nag-aantay siya to transport the passengers, which will affect other flights of that aircraft rotation, meron na silang backup aircraft that will be able to fly those passengers out and going back to Manila. So, isa yun sa mga improvements that they have been looking at. And of course, sa MIA, ang pinaka-importante, of course, is the timely dissemination of information to the passengers. Yun din yung in-emphasize namin sa mga airlines and of course to our personnel that sometimes nagkakaroon ng anxiety ang pasahero kapag wala lang silang informasyon. So the airlines are also looking at tapping technology kapag may mga delays, like Cebu Pacific already launched na may mga digital notifications sa pasahero. Imbis na maghihintay sila from the check-in agent to know what's the status, those information can be delivered to the passengers in their phones or in their emails. So, and as far as the airport is concerned, we're deploying the personnel to make sure that, of course, we assist the airlines in managing the passengers. Kasama rin natin dito ang CAP so that we know that, of course, the right information, the right handling is done. Yun mga ginagawa natin ngayon. Additional resources so that we can buffer for the peak season as well as leveraging on technology so that we can improve passenger experience.
Okay, Joseph and then Gerard.
Sir, sa statistics lang. Okay, yung 120 to 130 mo po na expected daily, ano siya regular?
Yun nga, dahil nga mahaba itong peak season, ang regular natin is almost just the same number. We do not expect any significant surge in terms of the number of passengers we're processing per day. 8 to 10% at most, but those are very tolerable limits. It's just like having a natin when to depart and when to arrive. So yun din, just like what happened last Holy Week, di ba, 10-day period din siya. Actually, medyo mas bumaba pa nga yung count, or flat lang siya compared to other days na active yung commerce or business. Diba? Kasi during weekdays or kapag hindi holidays, kaya marami nagtatravel is because of business. Diba? And during the holidays naman, pagka very extended, nagtatravel for leisure, going home to the provinces or foreign tourists coming in. Sa nakikita namin ngayon based on coordinating with the airlines, wala tayong nakikita na significant na 30-40% increase. It's really, since marami na rin talaga nagtatravel, normal na ulit yung air travel, it's just a slight increase of 8 to 10% over on a daily basis for this time.
So yung 1.2 mo po na expected if you compare maybe last year, parang ganun din yung volume.
Yes. Actually, the 1.2 is very similar to the 10-day period last week.
Okay. Kasi help the public visualize. Baka naman kasi mamaya biglang expect nila sobrang siksikan sila. We don't expect that kind of
The 1.2 million is very manageable for NAIA over a 10-day period. It means we're processing 120,000 passengers per day. During the peaks talaga natin in the past, we can process as much as 140,000-150,000 passengers per day. So we are well within what we are used to, diba? In terms of the passenger volumes for NAIA for this UNDAS.
So with your indulgence, yun lang medyo mga choke points na. For example,
Okay.
yung lighting that you mentioned, the new application that you're testing, how is that going to minimize, is it going to minimize mga flight cancellations?
Yes, in fact, as I've shown, by doing that proactive management as well as leveraging on technology, diba? Hindi yung pagka-monitor natin ng mga lighting alerts is not something na based on based on experience. It's really based on facts, diba? Science. Meron talaga tayong data, meron tayong equipment na ginagamit to measure the actual number of strikes within the period. So by doing that, actually, we have been able to minimize significantly by as much as 70% in potential delays. And hindi natin may iwasan magkakaroon ng thunderstorms. Being a tropical and equatorial country, talagang that's normal for Manila. But what we have done is, to improve dissemination to the ground para kapag, let's say, nalit na yung red lighting alert, mabilis makapag-mobilize agad ang ating mga ground handlers. Eventually, if we can pass by some lightning shelters, may makapakita tayo para makita nyo where do the ground crew take cover and how do they know may mga horns tayo that will indicate kung it's time to go to cover or it's time to redeploy. That we have active Viber and messaging groups or other platforms that we use with the airline stakeholders and ground handlers para real-time communication. Hindi yung nagpa-pass the message ka by the time na umabot sa tao sa ground. Mangyayari, you're 5 minutes late, diba? So, we don't have that kind of margin in terms of safety and in terms of operational efficiency. The soonest they can reactivate and work on the flight, the better so that we can reduce the possible delays. And in terms of choke points, I can address that as well. You can remember that one of the significant things that we have improved is, of course, yung entering the terminals. The cars don't need to be checked anymore. And of course, getting into the terminal, the initial X-ray was removed. But although we would like to remind the public that even if that was removed, it is mitigated by other measures that will improve security of our passengers and stakeholders. We have more patrols by our police, joint PNP, APD. We have the K9. Of course, we have the very active CCTV systems around our terminals. Those are being used to mitigate the possible impact of the removal of the initial security screening. So, nawala na yung congestion, di ba, papasok ng terminal. Even the check-in counters we're managing properly right now because the airlines and ground handlers are deploying the right number of people. And bukod doon, you can see that in some terminals, we've already used technology. May mga self-check-in na tayo, di ba? Meron na tayong the promotion of online check-in, di ba? Yun na reminders natin sa passengers. Whatever you can transact before you go to the airport, gawin na natin para hindi na humaba ang pila sa airport. What are these things? Of course, if you're checked in online, your processing time at the counter will be faster kasi nandun na yung mga details mo eh. Kasi traveling abroad, napasok mo na yung passport mo, hindi na matatagalan yung check-in agent to put all of this information. Specifically, if you're traveling without a bag, if you check in online, you can go straight actually to, you won't have to go through the check-in counters anymore. Diretso ka na, going through the gate. And another thing for international travelers, we remind them that, they can actually, especially for Filipinos, they can buy the Philippine travel tax, they can pay online already para what we usually experience, di ba, pagka-check-in, sabihin, ay, you come back for your boarding pass kasi magbayad ka muna dun sa TIEZA counter, di ba? You can pay actually the travel tax online through tieza.gov.ph. And of course, for immigration and the other requirements, may online platform na tayo, which is the e-travel. Diba? For both outbound and inbound international passengers, we recommend that the passengers fill them up ahead of time. Hindi yung kapag nasa pila na, tsaka sila nag-fill up. Because that adds an anxiety to them na, ako, malilit na ako, ngayon pala ako nag-fill up. Those things you can fill up as early as, I think, 72 hours before your flight. So, yun, sa congestion, what we're looking at right now, and we're closely working with the OTS, is really final security screening. Doon tayo ngayon na-resolve natin yung bago pumasok ng terminal. Maganda rin yung performance natin sa check-in. Immigration is also working well right now. Final security screening, of course, the general, myself, we're in coordination with the OTS to deploy the right number of personnel para, we have the right number of equipment, we need the right number of personnel para tuloy-tuloy proseso natin sa pasahero. And recently, there was a directive to remove the 100% requirement removal of the shoes. Of course, that can still be imposed from time to time based on profiling and random checks, and some of the machines will be requiring you to remove the footwear, but we are working with the OTS to reduce the possible build-up of passengers in that area. So yun yung dyan kami closely nakamonitor for this peak season.
So just last one, although baka sa airlines to, no? Pero ano ba yung, paano yung dynamics ng service? Yung mga overbooking,
Yes.
paano yung policy natin?
Well, overbooking is something naman that's a normal practice for airlines. Of course, there are certain acceptable levels kasi meron din mga pasahero na nag-no-show. That's why we do that kind of overbooking. But over time, medyo nag-iba yung trend. So the airlines have been adapting to really lower the thresholds of the possibility of overbooking. So together with the Civil Aeronautics Board, of course, we're working with the airlines as to how to improve that kind of situation. Siyempre, pag may overbooking, there's a corresponding compensation that the passengers will be able to get, diba? And it's on a voluntary basis. The airlines are supposed to ask the passengers, whoever would voluntarily be denied boarding, and make a palit din na compensation. Parang may escalation yan eh. Pagka walang tumanggap sa ganitong level, tataas na airline yung offer hanggang makahanap siya ng pasahero that will be willing to accept that offer and transfer to another flight or have the other travel option. So we have to make sure that the airlines really comply with that kind of approach and align sa mga policies that are stated and of course implemented by our Civil Aeronautics Board.
Sir Gerard, after answer, Sir Stephanie, follow.
You made mention of the shoe removal. And as far as I'm concerned, I still remember when MIA purchased that 360 security X-ray. The one that you have to raise your hand and you could share. I still remember when it was promoted by MIA that you don't need to remove your shoes. And there is a directive that shoe removal is no longer implemented. But the other day, I was at T3 and I saw na pinapatanggal pa rin po T3 International final security check. Tinatanggal pa rin po yung shoes even when they are using the 360 security check. GM or General Gonzalez?
Yun nga, I mentioned we're working with the OTS where we will see that later. Sa T1 may ganyan din tayo. Diba? So there are certain reasons na sinasabi nila why they have to remove the shoes, especially for that equipment. But of course, we are coordinating with them further, looking at of course what's being implemented as well in other countries. Kung ganun nga ba talaga, you have to remove shoes on those 360 modern equipment. So yun, we saw po yung update niya. And of course, we're very thankful na napakita niya yung ganun, and we are working with them right now to look into the reason why shoe removal is still required for that kind of equipment. So, item namin yun, and we'll update you po.
Kaya kung ako tinanong yung security situation natin right now, because I know there's different level of security. No, and when MIA purchased that equipment, the 360 uh, body frisking, yun yung pinagyayabang nila that you don't need to take off your shoes. Although there's a flaw at the time when it was tested, uh, it needs to be elevated yung tao kasi when it was tested, hindi nailusot yung yung mga gunting sa sapatos. So, they decided na elevate siya. So, ngayon, pinalis yung elevation, pero pinapatanggal na naman ng shoes. Even with the directive na hindi na ito implement yung shoe removal. Kasi ang other countries nyo, wala nang shoe removal.
Nagagaling lang sa Dubai at sa Munich, tinatanggal pa rin ang sapatos.
Pagkagaling ko lang po sa Melbourne, at saka sa Sydney, at saka sa Singapore, hindi na rin po tinatanggal.
Yeah, again, different countries will have different security programs. What we can just commit right now, sir, is we will work with the OPS to look at our security program to see how we can mitigate, of course, security, of course, balance security as well as passenger convenience. So, we took note naman po, syempre, we are one with you in really wanting to improve the experience of our passengers. If it was committed before that ganun dapat yung pag-perform niya, we're looking into the justifications in the past din para makita how we can bridge that gap na as designed before, ito yung ginagawa, how can we make it seamless na kung ano yung pinamis dati, yan din yung magawa natin.
Ang nagreklamo ko is mostly mga senior na na dumadaan na pinapatanggal yung shoes. Sabi ng senior, to quote, hindi na nga ako makalakad payuyukuin pa ako para magtanggal ng shoes. Just relaying to you what I got from the
Apo. Salamat po.
I also, galing din po ko sa Dubai, galing din po ko sa saang bansa. At sa totoo lang po, dito lang po merong nagtatanggal pa ng shoes. Even with the directive from DOTR Secretary na hindi magtanggal.
Thanks, Raul. Sir, we have a Zoom phone question from Joel Servano of Manila Standard about the electrical system reliability. May paghahanda po ba ang MIAA para maiwasan ang brownout?
We've already mentioned in the past, diba, that we've been having these scheduled preventive maintenance shutdowns, diba? These are all part of the improvement program of the electrical system here at NAIA. So it's not an overnight solution. It will require really several months of upgrades of the different equipment. Of course, we time this shutdown or yung mga preventive maintenance natin in a proper way that it will not disrupt passenger movement or convenience. So we do schedule them on certain times of the day or certain days of the week kung saan minimal ang impact sa ating mga pasahero. And for Terminal 3, we've improved on some of the systems that were seen as medyo deficient in the past. The affected substations during the May 1 power outage has been rehabilitated. Napalitan na yung mga equipment with brand new current transformers, and then of course the other substation that increases the reliability of the D3 network. We have a new underground XLPE cable that's connecting the different substations. We have programs, of course, we've had that internal assessment as well as assisted by MSERT and RALCO. We're implementing all of those recommendations in terms of the equipment that we need to replace. In fact, our board has approved the replacement of all the equipment that we deem as needing replacement already based on age, diba? So we have current transformers, circuit breakers, relays, and the other equipment na sinabi natin na kung kailangan palitan, these equipment should have been changed before umabot sa ganitong condition or ganitong age, but nevertheless, nandito na siya ngayon. What's important is that how do we mitigate it is, of course, slowly replacing them based on the available time window that we have. And so far naman ngayon, napalitan na natin yung mga critical equipment. And we do have more enhancements that are coming, not just for Terminal 3, but even Terminal 1, 2, 4, as well as our runway areas and taxiway na may mga papalitan tayong mga electrical equipment to to increase the reliability and resiliency of our utilities.
Good morning, sir. Confirm ko lang po, isa po sa mga preparations na MIA is yung pag-cancel ng day offs ng mga personnel. Meron bang say yung mga personnel or employees about dito? Nagkaroon po ba ng conflict?
Wala naman po kaming ina-anticipate because the employees of the airport, not just MIA, of course the airlines, the ground handlers, the government agencies that are supporting the airport, they know what they're entering into when they have a job with the airport. This airport, of course, or any airport around the world, mas malaki talaga ang ating expected demand, especially during holidays. So during those times, those personnel that are required by operations, like security, engineering, talagang alam nila that the required manning should be there. And of course, of course, the day off leave na tatanggalin yan completely. But of course, meron tayong mga institute na may mga overtime, meron mga leaves na hindi natin ma-approve. So yun yung mga programs na naka-implement ngayon. And we're seeing naman that based on the feedback of the different entities that we've met, normal naman yan sa pag-implement nila sa pay season. And they've instituted that for UNDAS 2022.
Sir Brad, good morning po.
Sir, next to ask is Jill M. Frido of DCXN.
Hello po, good morning po, Sir Brian. Good morning po sa inyo. Sir, tanong ko lang po, kailan po yung pinaka-peak, yung pinaka-gamit po talaga ng tao yung araw na inaasahan niyo po? Kayo po karating na UNDAS.
We're expecting that the peak for outbound passengers, meaning departing passengers, will be from tomorrow until Sunday, and then the peak for inbound passengers will be from next Saturday to Monday. Yun yung magiging peak natin.
Sir, nakakamba po kasi yung ilang pasahero po dahil mabuto sa nangyari noong yung February po. Ano po yung kasigurahan po ng MRT ngayon na hindi na po ito makilan?
We would like to remind them, of course, the media and of course the passengers that what happened in January 1 is not actually an NIA issue, but rather there was an air traffic control issue that affected the entire country. What has the DOTR done about that and the CAAP? They have, of course, already instituted changes and improvements dito sa ating sa electrical systems ng ating air traffic control management center. So may mga improve sila in the UPS and the other electrical systems to make sure that redundant yung mga electrical sources nila para hindi maulit yung ganong classic outage sa ating air traffic management system.
Let's have George of
Sir, good morning. George Fitness po, Sir.